and others are actually still working, but they are also not being paid because of those HR and payroll staff that are also furloughed. So there is a high likelihood that we will be back paid, and eventually we will get our wages paid to us, but in the meantime, it's a waiting game. So this can be financially catastrophic for people that don't have networks in place in order to pay their rent and other essentials like food on time. And I'm lucky enough that I have a bank that's willing to forgive all fees, and I've been able to postpone student loan and rent. But others, these are only temporary solutions, and there are many others who are not as lucky. Until then, we can't travel because the minute the government reopens, we're going to report to work the next day. We're going to be really excited to get back and catch up on all the things we've been missing out on, doing the services that we love doing for the people, and back to our normal lives where we can pay for you know, our normal everyday finances that everyone needs to pay. And we won't be paid anything until the shutdown ends. So the last time that we were paid was the Saturday before last, and we're going to be missing our paychecks this week. So in the meantime, the people of this country are being denied services that they have paid for, and some of the services that are still being provided are being provided at the cost of people who are working without pay, which in my opinion is the only thing worse than a furlough where you're not even allowed to work. So I urge Washington, D.C. to put politics aside and reopen our government as soon as possible. We want to go back to work. We want to go back to living our normal lives, and we really want to go back to serving our communities. Thank you.
What's your occupation?
I work for the Park Service, the National Park Service.
Your name?
Catherine Gilson, Kathryn Gilson.
And can you give us just one statement about how it's affected you personally? If there are the bills you haven't been able to pay?
So we're gonna go after that. The next person is Sean Gasala, another federal furlough worker.
So my name is Sean Gasala. It's SEANGHAZALA. I've worked for the Department of Interior for 7 years. And just to sort of echo Catherine's experiences, you know, it's been a challenge, you know, speaking for myself, but also speaking for, you know, the people I work with. You know, we care about the mission. We want to get the work done. We're not able to. 400,000 employees are locked out of their workplace. Then another 400,000 are working without pay. And that's had, you know, you know, effects on us. I've had to cut back. I've had to dip into savings. You know, rent's due in a few weeks. I've already had to sort of stretch, you know, to make January go by. So it has had effects on us. Not to mention, you know, just sitting home waiting for the call. You know. There's, you know, there's been encouragement to find handiwork or to try to make negotiations with your landlord to get by. You know, I have a skill set, and you know, I take pride in the work that I do. To do plumbing work or that sort of stuff has been encouraged from our agencies. Is not fair to me, and it's not fair to the skilled plumbers and painters that exist, right? So, you know, I want to get back to the work that I enjoy and that I, you know, have, as I said, worked at for many years. And, you know, I just hope this can get resolved and we can get past all of this, you know, really silly talk of, you know, putting precious federal funding towards things that will only make you know, division worse, right? I mean, what we need is to reopen the government and to get past this racism and xenophobia. So, thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Sam from the Communications Workers of America, Local 1102.
Sisters and brothers, hermanas and hermanos, my name is Sam Kokoza. I'm the Vice President of CWA Local 1102, representing 500 workers on Staten Island working in telecom and call centers. We are here today in solidarity with workers, the organized, the unorganized, the documented, the undocumented, the public and the private. Dr. King said, whenever you're engaged in work that serves humanity and is for the building of humanity, it has dignity and it has worth. You know, everyday workers in our Staten Island communities are not recognized with that dignity and worth. You know, we are, you know, and that is a problem. All right, we are here today because just of the latest attack on workers, where 800,000 people are being asked to not get a paycheck, go to work and not get paid, even worse. You know, and the worst part of this is they're being used as political pawns. All right, you know, Cesar Chavez said, when the man who feeds the world by toiling in the fields is deprived of the basic needs of sheltering and caring for his own family, the whole community this community of man is sick. Now, there's a cure for this sickness, and that is worker solidarity, okay? So I just want to thank Cesar for reaching out, putting this thing together. I see you got a lot of press here. You know, New York One's here. You need to get to the table with IBW. You know, and that being said, I'm thank you for bringing us together with a group of folks that are about breaking down walls, you know, not building them. So solidarity, si se puede.
Se puede. Thank you. And our next speaker is Tom from the Amalgamated Transit Union, 726.
Thank you. Again, I'm Tom Mason. Our president sends his apologies for not being here today to talk. Actually, mine's a question. You know, they're closing down the government for one thing, but why? The Republicans had control of the House and Senate. It wasn't a big issue. We took over for a week, the Democrats. Why is it now a big issue? Why is it our issue? No, we stand here today with solidarity to help out. You know, our brothers from CWA, you know, TW, I know it's in Manhattan somewhere. Everybody that's working and is on furlough, put them back to work. We here, we stand behind you. Whatever you need, we're here. Thank you again, Thomas.
Thank you so much. And next is Ruth Powers from PHC.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm from the Professional Staff Congress, which is the union of the City University of New York. I'm a professor at the College of Staten Island. And I'm here because I stand in solidarity with all workers, because I know that an assault on one worker, an assault on 800,000 workers, is an assault on all workers. I look around the room and I know that everyone I'm looking at right now is a worker as well. And if this affects one person, it affects all of us. The fact that our president has chosen to use workers as a pawn to get something that he wants, which is something that I don't support anyway, but that's another story aside from the fact that it is pragmatically silly, it won't work, and it's immoral, because what it does is divide us instead of bring us together, which is what we need right now. And there is one group in this country that is standing together more and more, and that is the workers. And that's why we are here, is to stand in solidarity with workers, no matter where they come from, no matter what they look like. If they work, we're with them. Those who seek work, we are with them as well. Thank you.
What do we want? End the shutdown. What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
Thank you so much. And our last speaker is Saman from Congressman Max Rose's office, who was recently elected, and also to show at the end of the day, we're all standing together. We're all standing in solidarity, and we're going to send that message to Washington, D.C., that here on Staten Island, we're unified. We're gonna tear down walls, and we're going to fight for all workers.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Saman Mahmood. I'm the Staten Island Borough Director for Congressman Max Rose. Right after being sworn in, Congressman's first bill that he voted on was the bipartisan legislation that passed through the Senate. Congressman said that shutting down the government has become an annual embarrassment here in Washington, and it's a dereliction of duty that has left hundreds of thousands of Americans without the paycheck and upended their lives. The President of the United States is throwing a temper tantrum, and it's time for us to get to work like adults and do our jobs and put everybody else back to work. Thank you.
Si se puede.
Sí 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 se puede.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are closing the press conference, but very clear message to Washington, D.C. There is no walls that are going to divide us here on Staten Island. We're one, we're Americans, we're Staten Islanders. That's it. So thank you, everyone. And if there's any questions,
The unions that are represented here, do they perform any work for the federal government, or are they just here strictly in solidarity?
We have no federal workers under representation.
Can we have Catherine come back to the podium? Can you again share with us kind of the personal impact it has on your family and yourself?
So I was able to delay the paying of my rent and the paying of my student loans, which I will have to pay that in full when I do get paid, and potentially before. Just depends on how long it goes on, because it's only a temporary solution. And I'm putting a lot of stuff on credit cards. But really what's affecting me the most is now I've organized my entire house. I've cleaned everything I can possibly clean, and I can't go anywhere. I can't really spend money, so I'm kind of just sitting and staring at the wall and trying not to lose my mind watching too much Netflix. It's actually probably going to cause me to go into depression if it lasts too much longer, because we're not allowed to seek secondary employment. We have to get it approved, even if we're on furlough, so I can't work anywhere else. I just kind of have to sit and wait, and I'm watching the news also and seeing the federal agencies that are being impacted, and I know that that's going to be a nice welcome back, is for us to be really frantically trying to do all the work that has been kind of piling up since we've been gone.
Catherine, is your biggest fear the fact that this could go on for a lot longer?
Definitely, my biggest fear is that this could go on for a long time, and that's why I'm here today. Despite it's really federal workers are not supposed to be very vocal, and I'm a little cautious about saying anything, but I am very scared that it will last a long time, which is why I'm here.
When you get permission for other work, I mean, if everybody's furloughed, who's going to give you the permission to get the other
Right, no one. So I can't get another job because it still has to go through all the same processes.
How do you feel when you do watch the news and you see the lack of progress in the shutdown?
I feel like a lot of people are very misinformed. I hear the word strike and vacation a lot, which this is not. We are not doing this voluntarily, and no one really enjoys it except for people who just have the funds to kind of just ride it out and do whatever they want, which is not a lot of federal workers. I think there's a pretty big percentage of us that make less than $50,000, which Mayor de Blasio has said that a good job in New York City is $50,000 and above, and a lot of workers in New York City don't make that much.
What do you guys do the National Park Service?
I'm a park ranger.
Where?
I work at Gateway National Recreation Area.
The President has declared that a lot of federal workers support the shutdown. What's your experience?
I do not support the shutdown, and I don't know of any single federal employee that does.
The president this morning said he is really considering declaring a national emergency. Is that something that you support?
I don't know enough about the impacts of what that would do, so I don't have an opinion on that right now.
If that would be the only thing that would get you back to work?
It would depend on the impacts of the country, because my priority over everything is kind of the resources and the communities in our country, and if it meant that I didn't go back to work for that to be better, that would be really scary for me, but at the end of the day, I want our country to work well, which is why I'm a public servant.
Have either you or Sean applied for unemployment insurance through New York State?
No.
No, I have not. Sort of in the hopes that things would have changed. As it's sort of gone from waiting and seeing to sort of a feeling of, a lot of the folks that I've spoken to, that I've worked with, people are starting to feel frantic and concerned as, February rent is approaching. So that is something I'm considering.
Sean, what have you had to do to kind of pinch pennies and save where you can?
It started sort of with asking for some consideration with, landlords, and it's turned to cutting back on things that you can do without. but it's gotten harder, yeah. You can only dip into savings but so much, until, it's just not possible.
How do you feel when you watch and you read about what's going on in Washington, and what do you think?
I haven't seen much progress, and it's been 3 weeks. So, there may be news every day, but sort of a lot of non-news, right? News that there's been no progress or no solution, and that's not helping me or my family. And so, it's frustrating. I don't think really, describes, the feeling. You're just sort of helpless.
If the president declares that national emergency and says, here, I'm going to use money that I already have somewhere to build a wall, will you feel relieved that you can go back to work?
Taking money from someone else or some other allocation for, for my agency's benefit, I don't think that would be appropriate. But, yeah.
Sean, can we ask you what you do?
I'm also a park ranger. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
In Manhattan at the African Burial Ground.
And one of the things that we're also going to be working on, and as a community here on Staten Island, is that we're all hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. So one of the things that we want to be able to do is start getting ready for GoFundMe accounts, just in case we need to help other federal workers support, whether it's paying, let's say, rent, whether it's paying overdue credit card that's going to destroy someone's credit, or whether it's just simple food. So we, at the end of the day, this is not just for us to hold a press conference, but to demonstrate to the entire country that here on Staten Island, a very unique borough, that we are going to stand in solidarity with each other. We're going to raise money to ensure that all workers have the support they need as a community.
So do you know how many workers, federal workers that have been furloughed are living on Staten Island?
That I don't know.
No, I don't know.
But we have definitely federal installations. We have the U.S. Department of Commerce here. We have the Coast Guard. We have, we have, and especially because we have a lot of federal workers, and in general, the U.S. Coast Guard patrols our waters, especially when they come across the ferry. So these federal workers are not getting paid anything, even though they're working. And we have federal parks, gateway parks, and as you can imagine, we definitely have a sizable amount of federal workers who at this moment are just waiting for a solution, are feeling, I think in the words of Sean, helpless and just waiting to see what happens. Question? En español? Una cosa que queremos hacer también es no solamente organizar una conferencia de prensa, pero también tener un plan, esperar lo mejor, pero prepararnos por lo peor. Y por eso también estamos aquí para recaudar fondos para muchos de estos trabajadores que son nuestros vecinos, y vamos a ayudarlos, sea pagar la renta, sea para pagar una tarjeta de crédito que puede destruir su crédito y no pueden comprar un hogar en el futuro. Entonces nosotros vamos a hacer todo lo posible que podemos. Aquí en Staten Island tenemos muchos trabajadores federales, tenemos parques federales, tenemos la Coast Guard que cuida nuestras aguas aquí por el Staten Island Ferry. Entonces para nosotros es asegurar que todos los trabajadores federales tengan el apoyo de la comunidad. Gracias. So it's just which one? Okay. What do we want? End the shutdown. What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
What do we want?
End the shutdown.
Si se puede?
Si se puede.
Si se puede?
Si se puede.
Thank you, everyone. If you have any one-on-one interviews,
CO. Proposal. CO. We're here. Interrupt the block.